and we'll get started in one moment. Oh, it's 5:30 on the dot. So I'm going to get us started then. Welcome everyone to our first installment, I guess, of the 2023 Georgia TESOL Professional Learning Series. My name is Karen Terrell. I am a new board member, and I'm going to be moderating tonight. So just want to highlight a couple of things because I'm also on the Professional Learning Series Committee. So I thought it was necessary for us to highlight some things. Oops, back up. So as soon as I learn how to work my computer, there we go. So just a couple of features about this year's professional learning series. We're going to have talks basically twice a month. There's a few exceptions. And so tonight we're going to have our presidential address. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a session on publishing in the Georgia TESOL Journal. We have a break in July, but there's something going on just about in every other month except for July. For the other piece I want to mention, just remember that our sessions are for Georgia TESOL members only, unless it's labeled as public. We do have some sessions that are going to be public. We'll let you know where those are. And we want you to take advantage of this. Of course, it's free professional learning, and we're going to cover all different areas of the TESOL profession. I also want to highlight in the middle of the year on May 4th, we're going to have a social, online social called May the 4th Be With You. So you can mark your calendars for that and register for it when it's up. A couple more things. We have 2 series within our series happening. One is focused on students, parents, and community empowerment. That's going to be running all year long. And there are 5 sessions that are going to go with that starting next month. We're going to start with looking at holidays through the multicultural lens, and we're going to get into parents' rights and responsibilities, and even talk about how to support our multilingual learners beyond high school. And then the second session series, within this year is going to be basically it's going to be all June. So it's 5 weeks in June. We have 5 sessions, and it's all going to be focused on content and language integration for our multilingual learners. So just things to keep in mind as you start to make your calendars for 2023. And with that, we're going to turn things over to our wonderful speaker, our president, Dr. Elizabeth Webb. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be moderating and watching the chat. So just put whatever questions you have in the chat and we'll bring them up at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Terrell. I am so honored to have you serving alongside us on the Georgia TESOL board. I'm also tremendously honored to have Associate Editor of the Georgia TESOL Journal with us today, Abdul Samad Hamaidan, who is currently moved to a new university at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, and we're so excited to have him with us. Mm-hmm. The success of the Georgia TESOL Journal is one of the big stories in the development of Georgia TESOL as an organization in the past few years, and having Abdul Samad along with Ethan Trend come on board alongside our current editors, it has been just an incredible infusion of energy and talent, and also just speaks so well for the leadership and the future of the journal. And we'll talk about that later, but welcome. I also want to take a second and welcome a few other folks. I want to welcome Dr. Priscilla Noble, member at large on the board this year, but our intrepid and stalwart first vice president last year, who helped us invent a conference that we didn't know how it was going to look. Just an incredible leader. She is a headmistress of the upper school at the Globe Academy Dual Language Immersion School in DeKalb County. So wanted to thank her for being here. Also, Blake McIntyre, I spoke to Blake earlier. Some of you were on the call. Blake is a former Georgia TESOL board member who served for 2 years as a member at large in a previous iteration. We will, I'm sure, Blake, right? We will get a chance to welcome you back on sometime, maybe when those 2 little precious children you have are a little older.
Right. Give them a year or 2.
We'll give you a little time. We absolutely will. Also, Kathy Amante, Dr. Kathy Amante is a professor emerita from Georgia State University. She's amazing. She's one of our fantastic speakers in our professional learning series, and she is going to be featured as one of the speakers later on. And also, she is the head of our bilingual interest section. So those of you who are interested, then then she will be the one who will be engaging with some of you guys in a book study later this year. So that's going to be very, very, very exciting. And then I can't see the list of participants is getting longer, so that's exciting. And some people didn't put in their whole names. Lori Edmonds, I see you out there. Yay, Lori and her two colleagues, Josephine Prado, Gilchrist Prado, who's an old Agnes Scott friend of mine, and also Emily Day are going to be doing a wonderful presentation for us as part of her professional learning series on self-advocacy. A big theme, as Karen Terrell, Dr. Terrell already shared this year, is going to be really empowering our parents. I have already greeted Rita Jimenez. Rita is our secretary on the board this year. She is fabulous. And those of you who don't know Dr. Jimenez, she is also the coordinator of the ESOL endorsement program for the Metropolitan Regional Educational Service Agency here in Atlanta, and does a fabulous job with that. So she's an amazing leader. Seeing wonderful other folks out here too that I am just saying hello to. So hello and welcome to everyone. And let's kind of get started now tonight with my presidential address. I was not good in my planning for my presidential address and forgot my cool light source. So let's see, Georgia TESOL. So I may fade out because I'm using natural light right now. And the sun is going down, and it just occurred to me that that might not have been the best plan, but we'll see how long it goes before my face goes into the shadow totally. All right, let me share my screen, and we will get started here. Let's see, with talking a little bit about Georgia TESOL. All right, and I want to do my slideshow from the beginning. All right, so first of all, look at that gorgeous logo. It's brand new. And so we have two others that kind of go along with it in the same style, but we're really excited because our logo was just a smidge dated. So we're very excited, that beautiful logo. And we owe a colleague and friend of David Chiesa, one of our Georgia TESOL Journal editors, up at University of Georgia, for her creativity and generosity in providing that for us. And so just remember, you guys, it's all about having a great network of multi-talented, caring people who are in your universe, who make things happen for you. So this is something that is really, we are really excited about, having our new logo. Now I'm just wondering why, there we go. Aha, it's easier than I thought. Now I'm going to do a quick recap. It occurred to me that many people never are attending in the Georgia TESOL business meeting because it's in the middle of the conference and people skip it. Why? It's scintillating. It's exciting, but it's not actually, but it's quick. And I do think this is good information. So I do want to let you know what we did last year before I go into what we did this year. So last year, we increased our membership from 223 to 384. We are currently at 389. We're going to top 400 very soon, and our goal is to hit 500 this year. I'm saying that quite ambitiously, but our goal is to hit 500 members this year. We did revise our constitution and bylaws. This was a big, big deal because we had very prescriptive, very inflexible bylaws and a constitution. And we needed to be able to operate in a way that was more focused on our members' needs and more nimble in this post-COVID, post-pandemic world. We implemented our new professional learning series. Thank you, Priscilla Noble, who was a godsend in helping get that started. She was so much energy and creativity with that. We planned the most innovative conference we ever had. The board did not shoot their president, but when she asked them to do 3 different sites and virtual and live stream at the same time, we survived. We engaged it depends on what numbers you look at, but between 550 and 650 folks were engaged in that learning. So that was incredible. And we published 2 issues of our peer-reviewed, very practitioner-oriented, and just lovely and engaging Georgia TESOL Journal. So we had a great year last year. We also, and this ended on a solid financial footing. Now, some of you who are very well off may look at that and go, oh, that's not a lot of money, but it's actually pretty good for Georgia TESOL to have that much money in the bank. So we're trying to just stay on a good footing and keep on moving forward. So that's how we did last year. Now, you didn't come to really hear about that, but I thought you ought to learn about it a little bit because you want to know a little bit about your organization and how we're being good stewards. Now, let's talk about this year. So our vision for 2023. Well, our vision is that our Georgia TESOL members are going to work together as a cohesive, connected community to create the maximum amount of positive change for our multilingual learners of all ages and for their families. And that is truly our vision for where we want to be and what we want to have happen for this year. And you will hear us talk a lot on the Georgia TESOL board among the leadership about creating community. My whole career, I have found empowerment and inspiration, an incredible trove of knowledge, and also self-discovery from the interaction with colleagues, not only in my workplace, but outside my workplace in the broader community. That happened to me when I was a German teacher and was active in the association, the Georgia and the Association of Teachers of German and the American Association of Teachers of German and American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language and in Southern Conference on Language Teaching. It happened to me when I moved over to the ESOL TESOL world and has been true in Georgia TESOL context primarily, but also with colleagues in international TESOL and also with WIDA. And it continues to be true here. I love this group of people on this board. You have an inspired and love and group of people on the board who love this profession and love to engage. And the more we engage with one another, the stronger we are. And that's truly my very passionate belief. Now, that said, we're going to have a lot of work to do to create positive change, but sometimes it seems like our voices are not heard to the extent that we would like for them to be heard. This is a funny image on the screen with a little puppy dog who's taking a little dive someplace in a swimming pool somewhere. But I want to ask you a serious question with this visual, and that is, are there ever times when you're feeling like your voices are not heard in professional conversations? As language educators, as representatives of the TESOL profession, I'd like to give you guys a chance to post in the chat, maybe any input you have. What's a recent experience or even any experience at all that you've had? Is your voice always heard? Is your voice sometimes heard? Is your voice rarely heard? So please post in the chat for us, and Dr. Terrell is moderating the chat, and she will read the comments, and then we may ask some of you to come off mute and tell us a little bit more about what you're saying. So let me pause for a second. One of the greatest things that we can do is take time to think and give our students and our colleagues time to think. So wait time is a great thing. Dr. Terrell, are we seeing anybody venturing out to say when they might have felt like they weren't being heard?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, I'll share a couple of times and maybe I'll inspire some other folks. So I have often felt like I am not heard when I talk about and this has been true for many years, but when I talk about the difficulty that English learners, multilingual learners who are developing proficiency in English, but are certainly not yet fully literate, the difficulty that they have in engaging with assessments that are decontextualized in a standardized format. And I find that the use of these kind of assessments has become something that is so ubiquitous that sometimes it's hard for anyone to imagine that there could be any other way to assess students. So sometimes I have felt in the past. Now, I really don't feel that way at this moment. I've been very, very, very lucky to be with a group of colleagues for several years now where I feel like my voice, I'm very fortunate that my voice is very much heard. And I'm in dialogue with so many wonderful people that I learn from. But in the past, I have felt pretty drowned out when I tried to speak up about concerns about better or more effective ways of assessing our ELs. And I heard recently from one of my teachers as we were sharing professional learning about the WIDA standards, that she felt shut down on several occasions when she was talking about providing effective scaffolding and differentiation because the teachers were perceiving that as unfair advantage. So those are a couple of examples of where people I felt or others have felt maybe their voices were not heard. Anybody else want to share?
We have two people who typed in the chat. One person says when other people monopolize the conversation, it's hard to get your voice heard, and this happens in meetings. Yes, I think we've all experienced that. And then Blake mentioned that as a consultant, he wants school leaders to recognize that their ESOL teacher is the expert. I've been having that conversation for the last 3 months, so yes. Someone else said she's moving from a system where ESOL teachers are teaching sheltered classes to a system where ESOL teachers are primarily collaborating teachers in another teacher's classroom.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And she's still learning how to advocate for students more effectively. And let's see, another person asked the question, how respected is the ESOL teacher's voice in a room full of people with other school roles, especially special education administrators, etc.
That's a question. The fact that we asked that question tells us that there's a problem, right? You know, that the voice of the language educator is not always heard as speaking with the same authority and the same degree of gravitas as a content teacher or a teacher who is representing those who have special needs, special learning needs. So we are representing a group of students who already have tremendous assets in addition to, over and above what students who have been raised here have. They are multicultural, they are multilingual, they have insights and skills that are unique to them as individuals, and that are rooted in their cultures and their homes and their families and their histories. But we are bringing them into an English dominant school district, in most cases, a school system and a culture where those strengths are not seen. And sometimes that translates over to our strengths and our authority not being seen. Well, thank you guys for being vulnerable and for sharing and for helping, for talking about when we are not heard. I do believe, the reason I put the slide up here is I do believe that we need to work on being heard, also listening, because we need to also be perceived as folks who listen, who don't monopolize the conversation. Great comment there. Folks who listen and who collaborate and are not trying to force one solution. And I also really hear that comment about being in a classroom where it's the other person's classroom. Truly, if we in the state of Georgia were doing co-teaching for ELs in the way that we should, we would be having shared classrooms, and there shouldn't be a feeling that I'm coming into your classroom and you're being gracious to share it with me. It should be a shared space. So there's so much work to do on paradigm shifting that we really have got, we've got a lot of work to do. And it's not only in the state of Georgia and beyond, but we will be engaging in that work and having those conversations, because just the fact that you feel like I'm in this classroom and it's not my space, if we're really going to be collaborating and really going to be affecting a change where the language educator and the content teachers are working together as co-equals to integrate language and content, then people have got to feel that we are at home in the professional space where we're working, just as our content teachers need to be home in the professional space where they are working. So with all that said, now let's talk about why this happens. Well, you can see I got a little, I'm always big into visuals that kind of give me the feeling for what's going on. Well, you know what? Public education is a system. And systems are supposed to work smoothly, and they're supposed to work without any kind of interruptions. And the fewer interruptions and disruptions you have to the system, the quicker you can fill your boxes and get your products out the door, full of all the knowledge and skills that they need, the better off you are. So I don't want to, by the way, I am not in any way implying that our students are a tabula rasa or empty boxes to be filled. That is simply a metaphor of a factory. So please let me make that clear, that very clear. But I do want to put out here that one reason, there are many, I'm sure, but one reason that our voices are not always heard as they should be is that public education is a system that was cobbled together in the United States initially by folks, who were out on big ranches or farms or working in rural communities who were trying to figure out how to band together with neighbors and get their kids, a little bit of reading and writing and arithmetic, And the system that was created is designed for monolingual English speakers. It has educated multilingual learners along the way for years, and they have survived and thrived in many, many cases, but it has not been easy because the system is not designed to meet the needs of those who are not English dominant. Instruction and assessment, ideally, are moving the kids along at a very similar pace. That's the easiest path. That's the path of least resistance. Scaffolding and differentiation slow things down in the perception of so many educators. How many of you have ever talked to a colleague about scaffolding and differentiation and had that person say, I don't have time to do that. I've got too much to cover. Has anyone ever heard that? If you have, I'm seeing a few, yes. Not a great thing to hear, but it does happen. And the other thing that we need to remind ourselves of is that when we design assessments, we try to design assessments as part of the system that will give us a good indication that kids are going to be successful. So for example, phonics is a predictor of reading success. So, and it's easy to measure. And it's easy to capture the data, and it's easy to report the data, and it's easy to compare it from one cycle to the next. So we may very well say, okay, for our literacy program, we're going to look at phonics measures. And that is a legitimate thing to do. Only for ELs, if they don't have much English vocabulary yet, they haven't learned to speak yet, they haven't really developed an ear for the language, they don't have the phonological awareness that they need to start developing phonics skills. It's going to take us, you've got to realize those skills that need to be built first. So the relationship between language and literacy, that's something else that we as language educators can speak to and need to speak to. And I know that Valerie Stupczynski, who's on this call, and maybe some others are taking part in some really excellent training that is delving deep into the science of teaching reading, that is really giving us some new insights. So Valerie, shout out to that. And we're looking forward to hearing more about that. And Valerie, by the way, have you met Abdul Samad Hamidan, who is one of the co-editors of the Georgia TESOL Journal? If you haven't, you guys might ought to make each other's acquaintance, because, who knows, there might need to be an article or so in your future. So finally, language and literacy are the most important skills of all, but really assessing skill, developing language proficiency is complex. You just take a look at the WIDA proficiency level descriptors and you tell me it's not complex. It's complex. So what we've got to do, and I keep struggling here a little bit, because you know how it is when you're on a Zoom call and your pictures of everybody and your little tools cover up part of your screen, then you can't see everything. Well, that just happened to me. But the needs of students who need support to learn the language are frequently just invisible. What is wrong with that child? Has he got a learning disability? What's going on here? What did we jump to conclusions? He's not doing his homework. Why? Well, wait, stop us. Get the same information about this student, the same degree of understanding about this multilingual learner that you have about a student with special needs. And suddenly you'll be saying, aha, now I understand maybe some of the things I need to do. But we have a long way to go to have that dialogue. Now, I will just say that the fact that our voices are sometimes not heard and that the needs of our learners are sometimes not seen is about to change. And we are about to be part of that change. The WIDA standards are going to help us with that, but we have got to know and articulate, know those standards, know the big ideas, know the way they're set up, and really delve into, especially the language expectations, functions, and features, and start having that dialogue. Because a big goal of the 2020 WIDA ELD standards is increasing that equity for multilingual learners by providing common and visible language expectations, making that language visible, taking it out of the shadows and making it just as visible as the content. It's going to take a while, but that is a big, big, big goal that we have got to just really embrace. So, and again, I just do not know why today is the worst in the world day for everything to be. There we go. Let me get rid of that. All right. I hate not being able to see you guys better, but I kind of see my screen a little bit better. So for those of you, the first talking point that I want everybody to be really empowered to share with folks is that in the state of Georgia and in 40 other states out of the 50 states in the United States, the WIDA standards are the English language development standards for ELs, the legal framework for how ELs are supposed to be instructed. And they are have just as much importance for ELs, for multilingual learners rather, than content standards do for students in content areas. And those standards specifically say that teachers of MLs, not just ESOL teachers, but content teachers and language educators, are supposed to collaborate, partner, model, and monitor in order to meet the needs of their learners. So this PowerPoint, we will gladly send out when we send out the recording link. We'll send out the PowerPoint for everybody. But I really encourage you to just say, hey, you know, the WIDA standards for English language development are same as the Georgia Standards of Excellence for English language arts or math or science or learning. And this specifically is our responsibility, our shared responsibility. So we can't back down from that. Now, what do MLs and their families need? You know, now I could have probably had 20 pages about this, but I wanted to distill it down to some things to focus on. So what do our multilingual learners and their families need? They need the opportunity to develop proficiency in English at all levels, K-12 through adult. In K-12, there aren't as many barriers to that as there are in the adult world. There are a lot of barriers for adults who want and need to learn English to be able to do that in the state of Georgia. And we need to articulate to all who will listen, and some folks who won't listen, we need to get their attention and help them understand that the state of Georgia will be a better, safer, more cohesive, more loving, more prosperous community when all of our community members have the chance to contribute to their highest potential. Right now, we have a huge, huge, huge shortage of nurses, of folks who to work in nursing homes, of folks who are CNAs, and I forget what that stands for, but but folks who can sit with, who have completed the training to sit with and support folks and be caregivers and to help support caretakers and caregivers. We have a huge shortage. We have a huge shortage in almost every industry of labor. Very, very, very many skilled jobs are going unfilled. Sometimes we have plenty of people who have the skills, but they don't have the language. We need to remove those barriers. So students need that, and adults. And when I'm talking about students, I'm not just talking about K-12 or even college students. I'm talking about adult students. So well-designed programs need to be in place. Sometimes our programs in K-12 are not well-designed. Sometimes they're just designed based on the convenience factor or a perception. Oh, this is the best model to use for all kids at all proficiency levels, at all grade levels. Well, that's not true. The research doesn't say that you can take one program design and meet the needs of every learner. It's not true. So we've got to start talking about what's a quality program and removing barriers to programs. We need folks who work together and collaborate well without silencing any voices. We need ongoing explicit support to help our students learn how to navigate the educational system, K-12 or even pre-K-12. I shouldn't even say even, because in Georgia, we do have a very robust and wonderful pre-K program, pre-K-12 through college and adult. And our families and our parents need clear communication in the home language about all important aspects of their children's education. They need support accessing other supports that they may need, whether that be some counseling or mental health assistance or assistance figuring out how to get a library card or other resources. And they need family engagement activities that are going to build their capacity to be fully engaged in furthering not only the educational opportunities of their children, but also their own. So I truly believe that this is where we need to kind of be focusing. So with that in mind, Georgia TESOL our goal is to be that cohesive, connected community that I mentioned, that you can draw on to help meet the needs of your multilingual students and your and their families. And I put our goal down there on the bottom of the screen again, just so we could kind of keep it in mind. Our goal to collaborate, educate, and advocate with confidence, courage, and conviction, which is what I truly believe we can do, especially when we are working alongside one another and learning from and empowering one another. So how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, I'm going to start off mentioning our wonderful Georgia TESOL journal. The fall 2022 issue of the journal came out in October. If you have not downloaded it yet, then you should go and download it now. It is fantastic. And I am going to take a second and I'm going to stop sharing these screens and I'm going to go over to, well, actually, Abdul Samad, would you like to talk a little bit? If I'm going to go over to and share the website for a minute, would you like to talk a little bit about the fall issue of the journal? While I'm doing that and talk a little bit about the vision maybe for the next issue.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Yes.
You go ahead and introduce yourself for a little bit and tell everybody a little bit about yourself while I'm getting that up. And I will be right. I'm going to go off video for a second and maybe try to find some light along the way. Here you go.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Dr. Webb. Hi, everybody. This is Abdul Samad Humaidan. I am an associate editor for the Georgia TESOL journal. I started my role in July 2020. I first came to the US in almost 11 years ago as a Fulbright. I did my master's at the university at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. I'm also finishing my PhD there, but in August, I was hired at the Department of Linguistics at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I moved to Urbana since then. It's only a 3 hours drive, but for folks who don't No, Central Illinois is colder than Southern Illinois. And that's what I'm learning. And that's what I'm enjoying now, a new experience, a new chapter of life. Thank you so much, Dr. Webb, for sharing the journal website. As we all see, these are to our senior editors, Dr. David, I think he pronounced his name
Chiesa, and I'm so
Chiesa.
sorry, I went too fast. So
No,
Dr.
that's
Chiesa
fine. Thank you.
and Dr. Griffin, yes, and I will go back. Here we
No,
go.
that's fine. Thank you. These are the two senior editors of the journals. They are great, mentoring me and my colleague, Ethan Trin. We are in the process of moving into the full co-editorship in the coming few months, but it's the process for smooth and successful moving in for the leadership of the journal. And we are so happy we are taking into these roles to support Georgia TESOL. And I think I shared that with Dr. Webb. Georgia has a special place in my heart because it was the first place I started presenting some of my own research, and that was at the TESOL International Convention in 2019. And I feel it's more service. Thank you so much, Dr. Webb. It's a vision to give back. That's like really a vision for me. So for fall, we got a chance to vet 5 articles. Most of them were into the teaching and pedagogy. And as we can see here into the editorial, it's about teaching with intentionality, the language educators as transformative intellectuals and reflective practitioners. We had 3 pure teaching articles, one of them about TELT, about technology, and another one was about genre analysis and related to teaching and learning. Those are kind of just a hint, very quick synopsis on the fall issue. And as Dr. Webb mentioned, and Dr. Just let me remember the names if you don't mind. I'm trying to learn names. Dr. Terrell. So we are also hosting a session within 2 weeks. I don't want to talk a lot about or taking a lot from the meeting in 2 weeks, where we will be talking more about the journal, about the invitation for our new special issue on language assessment and autoethnography that we are working on besides the regular submitted manuscripts to the journal. So please, if you are planning for any publication, for any collaborations, we will be more than happy to have your questions, inquiries in the meeting, or even before that, after that, please feel free to email us to the journal email. It's on the website of the journal, and we will be more than happy to have any questions and mostly to see your submissions and manuscripts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abdul Samad. We are so excited about this. Were you all able to follow me too? Can you see on my screen where it says Teaching with Intentionality, Language Educators is Transformed, the article? Can you see that? Somebody has to say yes or no.
Yes, it's projecting.
Perfect. I just can't see anybody else. Wonderful. I thought you should have followed me all the way there. Y'all, you can go and download the whole issue and look, this is so rich. And this is exactly the heart of what I'm talking about tonight. Language educators as what? Transformative intellectuals and reflective practitioners, people who influence what is talked about in schools, what is done in schools, how things are taught. if you guys really delve into the WEDA standards, one thing that you'll realize that when you read what the term multicultural, a multilingual learner implies over and above the old terminology of English learner or English language learner, not only is it a strengths-based term, it also broadens the definition to include students who may speak Englishes that are different from the language of schooling. So the definition now of those who can benefit from the wisdom that we have is not just the kids who may be tested on the access test. What we are talking about in terms of transforming practices within schools and pedagogies is something that can be transformative and helpful for many multilingual learners beyond even the traditional EL. So you guys just start to think about yourself as transformative intellectuals and reflective practitioners. You just start to think about yourselves that way. That is the lens that we are taking at Georgia TESOL. And then if you scroll on through, I'm not going to scroll through the whole issue, of course, but just look here. This is where our article, those who are going to be presenting later. And again, Dr. Lori Edmonds is on the call, and Josephine Prado and Emily Gerald Stay are going to be presenting about this. You can read their article here before you attend the professional learning series. So again, I wanted to start with how are we going to do this? How are we going to elevate your voices, amplify your voices, and also pour into you in terms of your knowledge and skills so that you are truly those transformative intellectuals and reflective practitioners. Part of it is we're going to engage you with reading the journal and writing for the journal. So that's the first thing. I am not going to take time to go back to my slides right now, because what I really want to show you is some other work we're going to do. The second thing we're going to do in this year, and tell me if you guys should be following me now to our calendar of events on Georgia TESOL. Tell me if that's true.
Yes.
Perfect. This is the second thing that we're doing, and that is our professional learning series. And as Abdul Samad already said, we are going to have coming up on the 19th a session on how to publish in the Georgia TESOL Journal. I want to tell you something. The Georgia TESOL Journal editors are passionate and dedicated to getting our authors to the point where they are able to successfully publish their work. We are supporting and working with our authors in a way that is just amazing. And we are so indebted to our reviewers who are giving quality feedback to our authors so they can improve that work and get it to the point where it is able to be out and part of our peer review journal. So don't be afraid. Come attend, get engaged, and think about how you can share your insights. We are not always talking about research projects and long articles. One of the foci of the journal is teaching techniques. And so if you are passionate about excellent instruction and you have something to share that is working well for you, we want you to be able to share it in the pages of the Georgia TESOL Journal. Our board meetings are always open to the public, quote unquote, but we really are open to our members. If you ever want to drop in, you're welcome. You will find that our board meetings are a lot of fun, but are very, very, very busy and very full. And the January one is coming up on the 21st. Then we are going to have a great session from Angel Rodriguez, principal up in Hall County, who has had amazing success increasing the identification of multilingual learners as gifted and talented. And those of you who are familiar with Georgia, we have one of the most respected gifted and talented programs in the country, but like all gifted and talented programs, it struggles to identify students who are linguistically and culturally diverse. And this is a great presentation that was originally part of our Georgia TESOL conference last fall, and Angel is going to do it again. Mr. Rodriguez is a transformational leader. I'm going to do a session on holidays through a multicultural lens, and I picked the timing of this to do it about a month before Ramadan begins, because quite often in our schools, folks do not have Ramadan on their calendars or on their schedules. And some people don't even understand that Ramadan moves. So they're like, wait, what? I thought it was a different time of the year. No. So Ramadan starts in March this year. So I want that to be a holiday that we talk about, but we're going to be talking about in general, what kind of a lens can we use to think about holidays so that we are curious, respectful, and inclusive in the way that we work with and support our students and our families, and yes, our fellow teachers who celebrate different holidays than the ones that are reflected in the Georgia school calendar and in the holidays that are recognized in the Georgia standards. There are holidays that are actually explicitly mentioned to be taught in Georgia social studies standards, and there are those that are not, but we need to make sure that we understand the holidays, traditions of so many of our children and our families who are different from the ones that we experienced in our culture, to build that trust and also to deepen our understanding of one another and how we work together and how we support one another. We've already mentioned that we are going to be so excited to have Kathy Amonte presenting for us again. And her first presentation for us will be on early March on family and community knowledge in the curriculum and how to integrate that knowledge and taking a funds of knowledge approach to that. And those of you who know Dr. Amonte know that that is one of her many areas of expertise. So Dr. Amonte, we're excited for you to come on and be doing that for us. Would you like to say a few words to those who are gathered here this evening, Dr. Amonte?
Let me see. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I had my microphone silenced. Just I'm really excited to be presenting, and I'm really looking forward to sharing. You know, as Dr. Webb said, our students are not coming to us as blank slates. They're coming to us with deep knowledge, you know, based on their families and their family history. And this is something that they don't leave at the door when they enter our classrooms. And so I'll be talking about ways that you can both learn about your students' knowledge and histories and what they're bringing with them to the classroom and how to incorporate that into the curriculum.
Listening to you, Dr. Amonte, I feel like I need to listen to your presentation before I do mine. But I mean, I think I may need to go back and just refresh and read a couple of those articles to make sure that I am on my game and aligned to the deeper wisdom that you're going to bring with your presentation. It sounds like it's going to be just phenomenal. So thank you so much for being willing to share and lead and in this way. The next thing we're going to do is our team that's been working on a multilingual learners writers contest is going to talk to you guys about how you can start to prepare your students to be able to participate in that. Our first multilingual writers contest, we plan to give you guys the information about it this spring, and then so you can start getting your students prepared. You will provide the first entries, and they will be judged in the fall. And we intend to announce recognize our students at the fall conference. And this is our first step towards building a young, many of you know the venerable Young Georgia Authors Contest for students in Georgia. Well, we've had educators say to us, how can we get our multilingual learners empowered to also be young Georgia authors? And so this is our first step to make sure that we're focusing on that. This is also a recognition that in the state of Georgia, if we look at the data that we have on public education in K-12, that English learners' speaking and writing scores are often the lowest scores. Their expressive language is what needs the most work and support. So we really want to help our educators focus on expressive language, and by doing this really wonderful and fun approach. So stay tuned and make sure to put this on your schedule. And then we've already spoken about the heart of learning and teaching the language of self-advocacy. Read the article in the Georgia TESOL Journal. and then please plan to come to the session. We will have more sessions posted very shortly. We are working to confirm our additional speakers, but we do have, as Dr. Terrell has said, she and Landa Robinson have been doing a great job taking the lead on this, and Dr. Terrell has been amazing. We have phenomenal folks who will be presenting the whole rest of the year, and we're going to have a very full slate for you. So that is a big part of what we are going to be doing. And now I'm going to scroll back up for a second. And I think those are the main things that I want to mention to you. If you do not see all of the events when you click on the Georgia TESOL website, it may be because you are not logged in. Remember that when you go to the Georgia TESOL website, you need to log in as a member to see everything, because some of the events, as Dr. Terrell said, are for members only. And if you ever need to, if your membership needs to be renewed, you'll get a notice, and you can just do that online. But if you ever need to renew your membership, or you haven't, and then you can absolutely do that over here on the, oh, actually, if you go to the homepage, we have it linked right down here. There's all of our contact information. And then here's the information on how to join Georgia TESOL if you need to join Georgia TESOL. All right, now let me stop sharing those things, and we're going to draw everything to a close here this evening. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint slide for in just a second, but I'd like to stop right now and invite you guys to come off mute and maybe react. What of our plans speaks to you? Oh, let me mention one last thing. By the way, we are going to have our fall conference. It is going to be in October. I believe the dates are October 26th, Thursday, October 26th, and Friday, October 27th. And I do have a slide. Oh, there we go. Yes, thank you, Dr. Terrell. You are the bomb. You are such a rock star. And we are going back to Savannah on October 26th. And to Athens on October 27th. And we do intend for those conference experiences to be hybrid again, as they were. We learned from our first year of doing a hybrid conference, and we're super, super excited about this. So go ahead and put those on your calendar. We're announcing much in advance of when we did last year, and the call for proposals will go out very early. So watch for the call for proposals, because we'd love to have some of you present with us at the conference. It was tremendous fun to be in person last fall, and we're looking to have even bigger crowds and more great interaction this coming fall as well. I think that really wrapped up the focus that I was going to, that I wanted to share for our work for this year. And this is how we intend to support all of you in achieving our goal, to being able to collaborate, educate, and advocate with that kind of confidence, courage, and conviction that will create that positive change for our students and their families. So I'm going to stop talking and just ask you guys to react. Tell us what sounds most compelling or most interesting to you. Tell us if we're missing something. Tell us whatever you want us to hear, because this is a future and a community that we are co-constructing. Language is constructed through social interaction and co-constructed, and so is knowledge, and so are skills. So let's co-construct the reality of Georgia TESOL together. So what input would you like to give? And we are a small group. There's only 13 currently, so come off mute and just share your ideas or your comments.
Dr. Webb, it's Valerie Stopczynski, and I just wanted to say I'm so excited about the journal, because when you first started talking about it, I thought, I wonder where I can buy one. Where can I go? And the fact that we can download it is, wow, that we need to spread that out, or let people know and that it's available. I can't wait to, as soon as the call's over, I'll be printing. So I can't wait to read it.
Yay. And there's some great statistics. I'm not going to give it away, but come to the journal, come to the session, because there are some great statistics about our readership. it's really cool how much our readership is growing. So yay, thank you for that comment. And I'll give, Valerie, how we changed our exit policy to allow us to reclassify students who are 4.5 to 4.9.
Yes.
You know what really inspired me to start talking about that with folks and to see if that was a possibility? It was an article in the Georgia TESOL Journal by Shuang Fu and a professional learning event she did last year. It was talking about the fact that it's not appropriate to rely so heavily on just one measure as an indication, and we needed to have a more multifaceted approach. And I was like, she's right. And it lit a fire under me.
I agree.
Just an example right there of how within our own community, just by being someone who is like reading and paying attention, I was like, this is reminding me of what I should have already known, that I need to be doing a better job of advocating for kids to be able to show their proficiency in multiple ways. So others, anybody else, come on, feel free to hop off mute, give us some input. What do you like? What are you missing? What are we missing?
I'll share. I'll give a comment, Dr. Webb. I'm Kelly Jones, and I have a coaching heart. I have a big coaching background. And when I heard you talk about creating that positive change for students and families, and then through the voice of the ESOL teacher and not having that shared classroom, because, we see it all the time when we're in classrooms where the ESOL teacher comes in and out, but never feels like they have a ownership of that classroom. And sharing the students, and it's any co-teaching can be difficult, but getting that collaboration going with those teachers, it's involved training and professional development, and I just love that. I can see a huge positive impact when teachers really make that connection with each other.
That comment's like a huge warm hug. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here and being a part of this. That's great. Kelly's a remarkable coach, a remarkable instructional coach, and just a great insights and leadership. So thank you for being here. Anybody else want to make a comment or give us some input or a suggestion? And if you don't feel comfortable coming off mute, that's okay. You're welcome to type in the chat. And by the way, you're also welcome to email us. I did update our contact information on our homepage. We are an all volunteer organization. And I will tell you that sometimes we do get a little bit worn out. And like there are times where your emails may not get answered as quickly as others. After the Georgia TESOL conference is a low point. I think I went offline there for a little bit, but we are working really hard to streamline our processes and share the work among the board so that these folks, the emails are getting checked and we're getting back to you. So if we have ever left you waiting for a little bit of a response, we do apologize, but we are honestly, your colleagues out here doing the best we can to try to provide and build this community. And we just are dedicated to it. And, we aren't always perfect, but we do the best we can, and we're going to continue. And if we can do better for you, please let us know. Please let us know. We will do our best to meet your expectations.
Dr. Webb, one person commented that they're excited about the writing contest and then hearing about gifted MLs. So that's a good one too.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
That was, and I also think it might be interesting to explore a film contest where the students do videos and script short films. Athens is getting more film studios, and there's an emphasis in the junior colleges on some of the film studies available and getting people ready for the film industry. And I don't want our ELs to be left out of that at all. So I thought maybe even a video contest might be an interesting thing to pursue.
Mary Talent, what a brilliant thing to suggest.
Well, it's triggered by the writing conference, which the writing contest, which is delightful to me.
Oh, yeah. Michael Huckabee has just commented that in the chat that was brilliant as well. Michael, thanks for being here. Michael works for a company called Speak Agent that has a focus focus on science, vocabulary, and content for ELs that is very, very creative and doing some really cutting edge work. And he and I have been in dialogue a little bit, not recently, unfortunately, but we have been in dialogue. So Michael, thanks for joining the call today. And it's great to see you here on the Georgia TESOL call. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate the communication. I saw it come over. I think that's just great. I love it, the collaboration that I'm seeing and the energy that is here. I think this is just beautiful. And Mary Talent, that, yes, I said I was typing brilliant at the same time you said that, Dr. Webb. I mean, anytime we can make those connections with our local region like you did, Mary Talent, and say, they have a film industry in this location of Georgia, we want our students to be part of that. I love it. And any way that we can help as Speak Agent to support the language of math and the language of science in using all domains with the academic language, we're all for it. That's where we want to see our students go. Love it.
Love it.
Sounds great. Mike could check with the Georgia Film Academy. They're doing teacher trainings for promoting videos and things.
Mary, that is fantastic. Let me see if you and I can schedule a time to just have a quick follow-up call to just talk among ourselves and maybe put a few ideas down on paper, and then look and check your calendar for January 21st. Our board meeting is that morning. And if you have 10 minutes to pop in and just share the idea, let me know. If you don't, let's just see if you and I can talk before then, and I'll share it, and then we'll take it from there.
I'll put the 21st on my calendar.
That's great. That's awesome. And no, I'm not trying to make you come on the board. I promise. Not yet. Not yet. Or maybe
I'm not educated enough.
That's not true. All right, y'all. It is 6:30. I'm going to turn it back over to Karen Terrell to close us out. Just know we appreciate everyone for being here. We are a community, and we are, making positive change. And we're also coming alongside each other and being friends and colleagues together. It just makes life and work so much more meaningful. So thank you all. You do not know how much beauty and joy and knowledge you've brought to my life. Dr. Terrell?
Thank you so much, Dr. Webb. And thank you so much for your insights and for outlining the goals and the vision for Georgia TESOL this year. I put our email in the chat. It may have gotten lost because people started commenting, but our email is info@georgiatesol.org. So feel free to email us at any time if you have ideas. I'm going to look into that Georgia film piece as well. But it was so great having all of you here. Once you log into the Georgia TESOL site, you can go ahead and sign up for everything that's there. So you don't have to wait until you get an email harassing you about being there. But thank you all so much for your time. It's 6:32, so we're going to let you go. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. Thank you so much. Have a good night.